Welcome. This is Monday night, October 26th, Rhinelander Common Council meeting. We're in the council chambers. I am Council President Ryan Rossing, and Chris Frederickson is on Zoom tonight. I will address him during the mayor's comments. The agenda has been posted, the media has been notified, and it appears that we have a quorum to do business. Val, would you please call roll?
Barnett.
Here.
Larson.
Here.
Mikulowski.
Here.
Kelly. Here. Anderson.
Here.
Holt.
Here.
Daniel. Here. Rossing.
Here.
Mayor Frederickson.
Here.
Thank you. We do have a quorum. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next is the public comments. I'm going to ask City Clerk Val Foley if she's received any public comments on her end.
I received an email today from Bill Liebert. He had spoken with the mayor, and he would like his comments read, if possible.
Okay, I do have an email that Val did hand to me from Liebert. It's in regards to a raise and repair order, 361 Highview Parkway. That's going to be addressed by Attorney Sorensen later in the agenda. This email from Mr. Liebert will be kept as part of the record for tonight's meeting. But Mr. Sorensen will address that later. Anybody from the council receive any public comments that they would like to address? I see none. Moving on, mayor's comments. Mayor Frederickson.
Good evening. This is Mayor Frederickson. I'm attending this meeting via Zoom, which makes it really hard to chair. Therefore, our president, Ryan Rossing, is filling in for me. That being the case, what I'm at home for is isolation. Due to COVID, I've been mandated. My son has COVID. He's actually recovered to the point where he's released from it, but I will not be released from the quarantine until Wednesday. What I would tell people is please wash your hands, social distance, wear your mask when you're around people. We are at a peak right now here in town, so stay safe, make good choices. That being said, I look forward to being a part of business in this new era where it's technology, and I appreciate my city and my people. Thank you.
I just want to apologize. I failed. We haven't had many people in the audience for many weeks, so I failed to ask if there's anybody in the audience that has any public comments that they would like to make. And if you do, please stand up to the podium. We'll make sure that that's on, and say your name and address for the record, please. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening. My name is Carl Fate. I live in the town of Crescent, north of Crescent Lake on Spur Lake. I've been involved in the mining issue in Oneida County for, well, since the early 1980s. And we've been circulating a resolution around to the towns that is asking, that we're asking the various units of government to possibly endorse this resolution if they choose to. So far, we've had 3 towns have adopted it. Nokomis, Lynn, and Newbold was the third one. And we've also contacted other towns. We've probably been to about half of them so far. And so we want to present this to the city council, and we would ask that you give it some consideration on your future agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Your name, sir?
My name is Eric Rempala. I'm property owner at 4212 Lakewood Road in Cashin County. And I'm here with Carl, part of a group, as he said. We've been involved with this mining issue both at Lynn and at the Shepke drill sites. And Carl has put together this resolution that we've been going around with. I have contacted every one of you by email and sent the resolution that he's handing out and an email with the resolution and a cover letter. And we're requesting that we be put on an agenda going forward so we can give you a presentation and explain in detail or more detail than public comment would allow. And so I understand that. Forgive us because we've never done city council before. We're more familiar with town, how it works. But I'm under the understanding that somebody recommends from the city council to have us added to the agenda. And just can't, the main emphasis is this, since the implementation of Act 134, there's many less protections for towns and cities now with metallic sulfide mining, which is an active issue in this county and around your city. So like I said, we do have a presentation. We also understand with COVID and whether you have, how busy your agenda is. So we're flexible on to what agenda you would feel would be appropriate, where you could spend the time to consider our presentation. So we're not requesting that it has to be on the next one. We ask you just to use your best judgment, and when you feel, if you decide to have us on the agenda, whenever it's best suited for your ability to listen. Thank you for your time.
Very good, thank you. Anybody else from the public would like to comment? Okay, seeing nobody, moving on to meeting minutes. Item number 6, consider approval of the minutes from October 12, 2020 council meeting. If you can just take a minute to review that.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from October 12th, 2020 council meeting.
Motion by Mikulowski.
Holt, second.
Any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Meeting minutes are approved. Item number 7, reports of boards, commissions, and committees. Item number A, October 6th, 2020 Planning Commission meeting, meeting minutes. Approval of the conditional use permit for Stephen E. Lee, owner of property located at 626 Lincoln Street, which is RH 1207-1, as recommended by the Planning Commission. Anybody?
I'll make a motion to approve the conditional use permit for Stephen E. Lee, owner of property located at 626 Lincoln Street, as recommended by the Planning Commission.
Larson, second.
Motion and a second. Gerald has his hand up. Any discussion, Gerald?
Well, I'm just wondering what is the reason that this needs to come before the council? I thought we'd been through this a couple of times, that conditional uses, unless they're appealed, don't need to come.
Mr. Sorensen.
You know, it's not often that I like to do this, but Gerald, I went and read the ordinance, and the ordinance can be read to say that the council has to take action. Otherwise, it says if the council doesn't take action, that the conditional use permit would be denied. I have to tell you, in the almost 100 communities that I've worked for over the years, I've never seen a conditional use permit go to a common council. But if you take a look at your wording, it certainly can be interpreted that it has to come here. The recommendation, it's really interesting because you really can't, you can only say, we don't approve what the planning commission did, or you can let it do nothing and then it gets denied. It's terribly worded, and I hope to resolve that problem sooner than later. But with all humility that I can possibly muster, I must admit that I was wrong, and your ordinance says that it has to come to the council. Now, interesting, it doesn't say what the council has to do with it. It just says if the council doesn't do anything with it, then it's automatically disproved, so you really should do something. And I
Okay,
apologize
let's
for
approve it.
maybe misleading you.
Gerald, did you say,
Fine, let's approve it.
Thank you.
I'd also like to speak. I'd like to say that it is really, really unfortunate that I didn't get to be there to see his face as as he admitted that he was wrong.
I have to put my mask back.
all right, any further comments on the Stephen E. Lee, 626 Lincoln Street, conditional use permit? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it. Moving on, October 20, 2020 Planning Commission meeting minutes. Approval of the conditional use permit for Stratford Sign Company LLC agent for the school district of Rhinelander for the purpose of locating approximately 242.75 square feet of additional signage on the property for the Hodag Sports Complex as recommended by the Planning Commission.
I will make a motion for approval of the conditional use permit for Stratford Stein Company LLC, agent for the School District of Rhinelander for the purpose of locating additional signage on the property for the Hodag Sports Complex.
Holt, second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. Gerald.
I'm just curious, is this more than one sign, or is it one big one?
There's 4, I think, altogether. They're mainly there's one on the building. There is one on each softball field and another one entering the softball fields.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, you should realize that the school district was not anticipated when the sign ordinance was written, and so you've got this massive space that has lots of reasons for signs. So this really isn't, it's within the continuity of the sign ordinance. It's not violating any of the concepts or the theories of the sign ordinance.
Yeah, I just want to note that it won't hinder on any of the residential housing around the area. They're very minimal lighting, and it's in the space between the high school and junior high. So there's really not any residential housing that will be affected by this either.
Tom?
I'd like to know what they plan on putting on these signs.
Anybody have an answer for that?
Yes, hold on. Basically, it's just to identify which field is, the name of each field and the complex itself.
Okay.
They're more directional signs.
Very good. Eileen?
Is there any advertising on those signs at all, Carrie? I didn't think so.
No.
Okay.
It literally says Hodag Dome on the side of the building, and then the fencing on each softball field has the name of the field on it, and then there's a sign heading towards the softball field area that has the name of the family that sponsored I think Hogue Family Softball Complex is what it's on there.
Very good. Anything else? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it. Moving forward, item 8, ordinances. This is the second reading.
Ryan, I think you missed C.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. I missed that because I'm not sure, Val, did we have any meeting minutes that came to us from that Police and Fire Commission meeting?
I do not have any from that meeting.
Okay, thank you. There'll be no action taken on that. There's nothing in our packet as well for that. Again, moving on, ordinances, the second reading, item number 8. First one will be A, which is Vital Properties LLC, Brett Childs, 806 North Stevens, Rhinelander, agent for School District of Rhinelander, 665 Coolidge Avenue, Rhinelander, R2, two-family residence district. Proposed zoning is B3, General Business District. That's the reading of that. Does anyone have any comments on this? Gerald?
Yes.
Gerald, go ahead.
I tried to send each of you this afternoon a proposed amendment to this, to the ordinance. Did enough of you get copies of it?
Yeah, I can
Yes.
I can answer that, Gerald. The first question you posed was, should we, in the second whereas, say when this planning commission did hold their meeting, we can amend that to indicate the meeting was held on Tuesday, October 6th, was the date of the meeting at which they gave their recommendation to grant the application. The second issue that you posed is it would be nice to have a specific designation of what the 10,000, I'm looking for it now, 10,279 square feet is and where it fit. The Planning Commission actually did have a certified survey map presented to them. So that certified survey map definitely shows where the 10,279 square feet is. The survey map, I haven't seen a recorded copy of it yet, but that's what they had before them at the meeting, and that's what they approved. Now, if you want to have that included with the ordinance, we can stipulate that included with the ordinance will be a copy of the certified survey map that references the 10,279 square feet. And I think that addresses your two concerns, Gerald.
Okay, I sent a copy of the survey in the form of the Planning Commission notice, which includes that. And I guess if you want me to read my motion, I can. It's to amend the ordinance 2020-10 by substituting for the whole first whereas clause the following. Vital Properties LLC, Brett Childs, 806 North Stevens, Rhinelander, Wisconsin 54501, agent for School District of Rhinelander, 665 Coolidge Avenue, Rhinelander, owner of the vacant parcel located within and part of RH 9332-1104, Rhinelander, requested a map amendment zoning change for a 10,279 square foot section of RH 9332-1104 as shown in the attached certified survey map. And I sent, this isn't part of the amendment, but I sent that as an attachment. Present zoning of this 0.023 acre 10,279 square foot area is R2, two-family residential district. Proposed zoning is B3, general business district, for the purpose of combining the newly created and proposed rezoned parcel with the adjoining lot owned by the agent. And also by adding the wording on October 6, 2020, before the words, the City Plan Commission in the second whereas clause. And then by adding the following after the words RH 9332-1104 in section 1 of the resolved clauses. Quote, parenthesis, fully described in the attached notice of public hearing, close parentheses. Should be closed quotes there too. That's my motion.
So-
And I have
So it's a
perhaps a few
motion,
more words
Yeah,
to say
so-
on that.
so you're making a motion to amend the ordinance to reflect that language?
Yes. And the first part of it is to get the language back in the form that it came to the Planning Commission. And also to add the map.
Yeah, for the benefit of the council, it doesn't change the ordinance or the meaning or the attempt or the bottom line. It just adds clarity and adds the attachment and the date. I see legally no problem with that. That's just clarifying.
So would you want to vote, would that be a friendly amendment before
So
the?
it's not friendly because it's a motion that he's made to amend. So you'd have to vote on the motion to amend as soon as it's seconded. It hasn't been seconded yet.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Rossing, second. Val?
Okay, so the motion's made and seconded. Now it should be debated whether or not you want to make the change. And if nobody's going to object to that, then you call a vote on the amendment, then we vote on the
Right,
ordinance as amended.
right. I mean, I don't have, Gerald, I think you just want to clarify some things as to the large parcel that it is, to be more descriptive about what we're doing. Is that correct, Gerald?
That's correct. If it just says 10,000 square feet out of what's a 38 acre more or less parcel, that doesn't tell anybody down the line what we approved, what we rezoned. And in addition, in this case, it's a lot split really, essentially, because it's going to be taken from one parcel and added to Vital Properties LLC's existing property. So it seems like there's a need for clarity here that maybe the other two that we have before us don't need a map because they just pertain to one lot, which anybody can look up on the city map, but this would not be clear at all without having the legal description or at least the map. The other thing reason I felt like changing that whole first whereas clause is because Brett Childs is acting as the agent for the school district at this point. He isn't the owner of the property yet, or his corporation isn't. That's the normal thing in these rezonings. You get them rezoned before the sale takes place, or else it doesn't take place. So I think, and that's the wording that came before the Planning Commission. So I just wanted to get it back in the same form it was there.
Tom?
I have actually been wanting our motions and stuff to be a lot more specific, specifically because there have been some things that were passed, the motions were passed in the past, and they're coming up again completely misunderstood because it's so vague of a motion. So I think any clarity that we can add to any of these motions or ordinances or resolutions or whatever we're passing, I think is just going to help us and future council members in the long run.
Sure. Yeah, I see Gerald's point on this one. Eileen, did you have something?
Just a very small note that at the bottom of the ordinance, amendment, it has the wrong date because it's got 12th day of October, so that's going to need to get changed before Chris signs it.
Okay. Any other discussion on this? I'm going to take a vote on Gerald's motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it. Any discussion on, who made the first motion? Was there a motion on the main?
The main motion is on the floor. That was made by Cheryl, okay? She made the main motion. It was amended. So now the main motion as amended is on the floor for a vote. Or, yeah,
Eileen.
Eileen.
You did make the motion?
Cheryl Daniels just won the state bar's presidency. That's what I'm thinking of.
I believe that Eileen made the motion and I made the second.
You're right. Okay, very good. Any discussion, anybody wants on this further? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it. Item B under ordinances, Bernadette M. Store, Week 3333 Burke Road, Sun Prairie, Wisconsin 53590. Owner of property located at 639 Arbutus Street, B1 Community Shopping District. Proposed zoning is R2, two-family residential district.
Again, for the record, the date should change from October 12th to today's date.
Michalowski will make a motion to approve Bernadette Store Weeks 3333 Burke Road, Sun Prairie, Wisconsin 53590. Owner of property located at 639 Arbutus Street, B1 Community Shopping District. Proposed zoning is R2, two-family residential district.
Larson, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Gerald had his hand up.
Gerald, did you have,
Well, I just had a comment. All of these use the term City Plan Commission, which I don't believe is correct. I don't know if it's worth going through and correcting them all, but maybe in the future we could call it Planning Commission, if that's the official title.
It says Plan Commission on my agenda.
okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it. Item C under ordinance is Dean Olson, 7700 Yankee Road, Monaco, Wisconsin 54548. Owner of property located at 1478 Chippewa Drive, R1, Single Family Residence District. Proposed zoning is B3, General Business District. Change the date again, yes, on this one.
I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve as presented.
Have a motion? Tom Kelly, second. Discussion? Eileen?
This is the property for Quality Collision, is that correct?
I believe so. Anybody have clarification on that one?
Next to it, isn't it?
Yeah,
Next to it, correct, south of it.
Yeah.
okay.
You're confirming that for sure, Carrie?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Did you hear that, Gerald? Carrie is affirming that it is that parcel.
Yes. Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it. Ordinance, item number D, ordinance 2020-09, amending 4.02.06, parent 1, parent C, parent 2, parking limitations. I looked through here, the citation amount under this, I noticed, was changed correctly to the $25. It's on page 13 if you guys have not found it yet.
I will make a motion to approve ordinance 2020-09, amending 4.02.06, parent 1, subparent C, subparent 2, parking limitations.
Barnett, second.
Okay.
Barnett with a second. Discussion. Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it. Introduction of new business. Under 9A, presentation from insurance carriers for insurance services. I'm going to refer to Zach on this.
So this item and the following item, 9B, are a package, essentially. The individuals that, some of the individuals that wanted to present to the council were unavailable for this meeting, so we're going to recommend moving that to the next meeting in both cases. This week, you'll get an email from me with basically all the supporting information and documentation if you care to make your way through some of it. There'll be a summary from me as well as a recommendation based upon that, but the carriers or the providers did wish to present to the council, so we'll have them again at the November 9th council meeting.
Thank you. Item B, discuss selection of carrier or carriers for workers' compensation, general liability, crime, and cyber insurance services. Zach.
Same in this case, again, postponing it for action to be taken at the subsequent meeting. It will not affect our renewal timeframe, but we should get this wrapped up in November.
Thank you. Gerald?
Do we need motions to postpone or table these things, or just put them under the agenda for next time?
Steve?
No, they were not on the agenda as action items. They were only on the agenda as introduction of new business or new ideas. Since they were not on the agenda as action items, you do not need to postpone them.
Any other discussion? Item C, update on routes to recovery COVID-19 CARES Act grant. The list for this is in your packet on page 15. And while you're looking at that, if I'm going to let Zach speak on this for just a second.
So you're familiar with this from previous action for the sake of buying the voting machines, the tabulation machines, I should say, as well as some other, like the purchase of the microphones that we're blessed with to have, that we used the COVID-19 routes to recovery monies for. So this gives you a full running list of that. Under the emergency orders by the governor and the mayor, we have the ability to continue to work through this. Our last reporting period is November 6th, so we have to be invoiced and and have been invoiced, and then we'll submit this for reimbursement to the state for their reimbursement. At this time, there was a webinar on this topic on, I think, the Planning Commission night, whatever night that was, it was happening at the same time, that there might be some turnback dollars that were unencumbered or unspent in other municipalities that we could apply for, but we don't have any of that information at this time. So I don't think we'll have any trouble spending down the $22,530 left for the variety of reasons here. Looks like the mayor's got something.
Mayor Frederickson.
I would just like to thank our staff, the department heads, and Zach for his work in this effort. It definitely is a benefit to the city, and their hard work is appreciated. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Anybody else have discussion on this? Eileen?
I've been reading through it, and there's two items about halfway down the page. One's this for Dan Plout's cleaning services, electrostatic disinfectant spray gun. And then there's two vendors after that Victory Janitorial Service also has backpack, cordless, electrostatic disinfectant, spray gun. Are we purchasing those, or is that a service that we paid for, or is this something that the city now has?
So we did purchase a backpack sprayer, and that's what we've
Okay.
been actually disinfecting the lobby during early voting, since we've had so many folks in and out for that purpose. So Parks is doing that a couple of times a day. But there is a service that, obviously our cleaning service that they also perform. But at this point, that was for the billing of the backpack.
Okay,
And
and
then, was there another one, did you say? What was the
also
first?
Dan Plout's Cleaning Services, just above that one, has one as well. So it's Victory Janitorial
And I
and
don't know-
Dan Plout's, so it's on there twice.
Terry can speak to if one is supplies. Terry, if you want to come up and address that question. I don't know who the vendor was on that.
So do we have two?
Dan Plout's Cleaning Services, a vendor out of the Milwaukee area that we purchased a small handheld sprayer for the inside of the ambulances so we could sanitize it quickly in between patients.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, so that one we ordered like right when COVID hit, and we just took delivery of it here maybe 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So
So these belong to the city now. I just want to make sure that we weren't, buying this for Victory Janitorial Service, and then we wouldn't see it
Not
again.
having our
so.
own, yeah.
Okay, anybody else on the routes to recovery spending? Okay, item D. Approval of an agreement with General Code in the amount of $8,500 for Laserfiche document management and submit for reimbursement through routes to recovery. I'm gonna have Zach just speak on this briefly.
There are some details in your packet about this software. The long and short of it really is, we had a demo, city staff and I, to talk, to go through the various features of this software. It's my understanding that the city had previously contemplated pursuing Laserfiche with a different vendor that didn't quite have the same functionality that this one does. I can say that having gone through it, there will be tremendous value to the city in that. It'll help us be able to search via keywords for various documents. It's been discussed that sometimes, it's generally the practice that the city has paper documentation in file cabinets unless it's been in the last number of years where we may have saved something on our online, our common storage server. But at this point, the idea here is to bring most of the documentation from boxes and files and the basement and wherever else documents are stored for a lot more efficient and better records management. So that's the point here. It's a CARES Act item, eligible item in that it minimizes the human interaction that we have to have with document searching and that kind of thing. So it's very good timing on this, and I think city staff and I will agree that this can be a welcome addition. It's going to take some time and effort to get it uploaded and get it on board with it, but I think not in a long time, we'll be able to recoup the cost of having done this versus paying staff to look for documents all the time.
Mayor Frederickson.
Yeah, I'd also like to add, just for the council's information, that this was an agenda item that Gerald had asked for a couple times over, and as we worked through the work product of coming up with this software, it didn't show up on council for, 2-3, I don't know if it's been 2-3 months. I have to go back to find out. But just to show how it does come to completion, it might come under a completely different item, but it is what was requested.
Thank you.
Gerald, did you have something?
I just said thank you.
Okay, all right. I would entertain a motion for this.
Barnett, I'd like to make a motion to approve this purchase of software with, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong one. Approve an agreement with General Code in the amount of $8,500 for Laserfiche document management and submit for reimbursement through routes to recovery.
Anderson, second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion. Eileen.
Is this an item that should have gone out for bid?
It's below a threshold, 25,000 generally, and it's a software, so you don't, public construction is generally what it triggers that, but good question. And what's interesting about this software is this is the one vendor that's configured it this way, so it's a pretty customized solution versus the vendor I think the city previously looked at, is my understanding. It didn't jive with that, so, but good question.
Tom?
I'd also like to add that with the amount of boxes that me, Eileen, the mayor, Zach, Jeremy, and saw down in the basement, this is going to be well worth the effort to get that all done. I'm sure there is a lot of information down there that we should probably be able to get to without having to search through boxes and boxes and boxes. And even if this wasn't covered by the routes of recovery, the fact that it's $8,500, that's going to pay for itself, just not having the staff and Steve here go through all those boxes on hours on end for information that you can type a keyword in. So either way, it's going to pay for itself.
Agreed. Any further discussion? Val, I'm going to have you call roll on this, please.
Mikulowski,
Aye.
Daniel,
Aye.
Rossing,
Aye.
Kelly, Barnett,
Aye.
Larson,
Aye.
Anderson,
Aye.
Holt.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Item E, approval of a software purchase agreement with Civic Systems LLC in the amount of $5,400 for business licensing software and submit for reimbursement through routes to recovery. Zach has information on this.
Again, similar to the last item, same funding source anyway. We had talked at some of the work sessions this late summer about the desire to improve workflow and some automation and practices as it relates to just areas where the city might be understaffed or because of requirements for them to have to deal with things. So in the clerk's office in particular, this is a software package that will manage all of the business licensing, liquor licensing, all the various renewals and activity that the city licenses businesses for. So it'll automate that workflow, remove or reduce the likelihood of errors should they exist because you've got to removing the human element associated with it. It times pretty well with the recruitment of a city clerk as well to be able to implement this software. So city clerk participated in the as well as IT coordinator myself sat through a presentation on this. It's the same vendor that the city uses for its financial system, so it plugs and plays really, really nicely in that regard.
Val, did you want to say anything about this?
I think it can only help us to mesh this with our other software. This is a great company. We've been working with them since I've been here. And I think to get our licensing programs up to date and speed with this company will help because every one of their modules interface with the other. So it will help us with billing out and various other things. And it will help us because there's a lot more features that we don't have to do ourselves with this. So it will be really nice.
Thank you. I would entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to approve the purchase of software purchase agreement with Civic Systems LLC in the amount of $5,400 for business licensing software and submit for reimbursement through routes to recovery.
Mikulowski, second.
Anderson, second.
I had Carrie Mikulowski in that first, Gerald. Sorry.
Yeah.
Motion and a second. Discussion, Eileen.
Is this $5,400, is this a one-time fee, a yearly licensing fee?
It is, the 5,400 is initial, and then there's an annual support software support for $990.
So that'll, every year we'll get a bill for 990, or we'll get a
Correct.
bill for 3,300 plus 990?
Nope, 990, that'll be the additional increase. And that's a, 5,400 is a not to exceed, that's set up in training. That's what they anticipate the time to be, but depending on how long it takes for that installation to be, it could be less.
Okay, thank you.
David?
Is that annual fee going to come before the council? Does it just automatically get put into the budget?
That's right, yep. So
Automatically in
the
the
IT budget that it gets approved has all the city's licensing costs incorporated into it.
Wendy is agreeing as well.
Awesome.
It's in the budget for next year. Thank you. Anybody else? Eileen?
Do we know how soon this is going to be able to get implemented?
I think we're thinking after the first of the year, after we fill the clerk's position.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty tight to try to do something now, especially with the election closeout here in the next couple of weeks.
All right, Val, would you please call roll?
Daniel,
Aye.
Rossing,
Aye.
Kelly. Barnett,
Aye.
Larson,
Aye.
Anderson. Holt,
Aye.
Mikulowski.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Item F is going to be off of the agenda. We don't have all the information. I don't know if Zach, if you wanted or needed to say anything on that.
Essentially, we've proposed an agreement with Northwoods Connect, and they've got the contract. They wanted a little bit more time to review it, so we expect that to happen. I'll also add that this also has something to do with the IT consolidation project, to the extent that we can negotiate a connection with them between the city and the server, where ultimately the servers will be located.
Okay. Thank you. Item G, mayoral appointment of election officials. That is on the last page of your packet, number 24, page 24. There's a long list of those individuals. And I would be looking for a motion on this.
Motion to accept mayoral appointments of election officials as presented.
Larson, second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it. Item H, discuss yard waste drop-off site. Alderperson Larson.
Yeah, I guess this is more aimed at Dan Herkadal there. If we ever considered having a location for yard waste drop-off, if there was, I mean, I know they're coming around now, or the 26th or whatever, but
I guess we had to look for some vacant land. What I have done when I've gotten these calls, I just directed them up to the Oneida County landfill on Highway K there. We could discuss that in the future, but we would have to find some open land for this to be able to happen.
yeah, just a short time,
Sure.
you know, just because, you know, if you drive around, you saw a bunch sitting out for a while, just if there was something. But yeah, if you could look into it, we can address it again sometime.
Yeah, definitely open for discussion.
Thank
I
you.
guess I got a question for you, Dan. Would that save you guys, if we had a specified site from, on a certain day or a certain week where, individuals could drop off, tree branches or whatever, that would potentially eliminate you guys having to make that many stops curbside throughout the city neighborhoods. Do you see that as a possible benefit and time saver for you guys in the spring or fall?
I'm sure it would help out, yeah, because that way during the season, during the middle of the season, they have a site to drop off to. So I can see both ways. But I will keep open spring and fall pickup for, that usually is for 2 or 3 weeks. So that'd be a very good discussion and to talk about in the future.
Okay. Anybody else have questions for Dan or any further comments? Thanks, Dan. Item 10, introduction of unfinished business. Discuss administrator search. I'm going to let Mayor Frederickson talk about this briefly.
Actually, nothing at this time because it hasn't mounted enough momentum to actually move it forward. So I'll bring it forward again in 2 weeks.
Attorney Sorensen.
Yeah, you promised that I would speak about the letter from Mr. Liebert, so I thought I'd better do that before you adjourn the meeting. And it's kind of like unfinished business, so I thought I would do that. I think some of you know that the property that he owns, we've placed a raise and repair order on that property. And I've met with him last summer and requested that he come up with a plan, and I kind of gave him till August, and then in August I extended to October, and now it's October, and he's now asking again because of inability to find carpenters and other very logical reasons that he wants another extension. The problem, and I want the council to know this, is it's just not starting this summer. This has been an issue for several years. And we're at a point that I think as a city, you have to decide that you're either going to enforce the ordinances or you're not. I mean, undoubtedly the year 2020 has been an unusual year, but even with an unusual year, one could have signed a contract and one could have made some effort. And so my position is that we're going to have to do something as a city, otherwise, we become someone without any teeth. And therefore, I will be responding, unless told differently by the administration, I will be responding to Bill and indicating that I appreciate it, but I want to see a contract from this second carpenter that was supposed to get him a contract by the end of October. So I can wait till November 4th or 5th, but something has to happen. Otherwise, I've already drafted the summons and complaint, and I intend on filing it on behalf of the city, because we do need to, enforce our ordinances, and 3 years is getting to be a little bit on the far side. So I want you to know that I'm not trying to be a jerk or, not considerate of the situation, but I've tried to help, and maybe if some of you know contractors or carpenters that could use some work putting siding on a house, you may send their names to Bill, because if he can't find them, maybe somebody else can find them for him. But the bottom line is this has got to get done. And as much as we'd like to say that there's reasons not to, I'm sorry, this has to get done. Otherwise, your ordinances don't really mean much. So I'm telling you that next week, if I don't hear, in other words, the 1st or probably about the 4th of November, I'm going to file the summons and complaint in Oneida County Circuit Court on your behalf. Just so he knows, the world knows, that's where it's at.
Tom?
The only thing I have to say is, well, he's had a couple of years to get this work done, right? I have called a contractor to have a storm door put on my house, and they told me after the first of the year, I talked to a different contractor today, and they will get a door at Menards and put it on in a week. So this is, but if he had to order a door, it would have been 4 to 6 weeks because of the COVID. But he can go up to Menards and buy a door and put it on the house in a week. So, yeah, go ahead and file.
All right. Future agenda items. I'm going to list the ones that we have here, and then if you guys have some that you want to have on the agenda, I'll call on you and you can let me know. Approval of AT&T lease amendment. Consider recommendation to select a consultant to perform a housing needs assessment and emergency orders, if any. Does anybody have any future agenda items? David?
Hi, yeah, I don't have a very specific one, but I would like to ask Attorney Sorensen for some advice on this. It may not be something necessary to do in a council meeting. My observation is that there are a number of our ordinances that really need to be looked at and adjusted, updated. And I don't have a problem with it being done piecemeal in terms of as they come up. But I also am open to the idea of setting aside some time for the council as a whole to go through and do a review. And I'd like to get your advice on that.
Yeah, and I think we are in the process in the sense that the planning commission, sometimes referred to as Plan Commission in Wisconsin law, that entity is looking at the zoning ordinances, and once that big piece is done, which should be done, I think, relatively soon, or at least something should be before you relatively soon, then I think we go back and we start taking the next groups. But let's finish zoning and let's go back to government, which I think is the next big group that needs to be handled, the organization of government, because you've been piecemealing changing that anyway, and you really should. And what I'd like to do that, and the mayor's assistant and I have talked about this, is we'd like to do workshops with you as a council and even bring in SISMIC or bring in the league and have, or bring in one of the universities that have people and kind of do a discussion of what would a 21st century city government section of an ordinance look like. And then we can discuss the pros and cons. So that is definitely something that's on my timetable. And I know the mayor and Zach have indicated they're ready to do that.
Thanks.
But we should really get the zoning one done first. Otherwise, we're biting off more than we really can chew.
Eileen?
I was actually going to mention the ordinances regarding the conditional use permits, so that's clear. But also the sulfide mining resolution that was brought to our attention this evening by Mr. Fate. And then the Police and Fire Commission meeting minutes, which weren't on this, make sure they get on the next, if we can do that, from October 23rd.
Very good. Tom Kelly?
That sulfide mining issue is a county issue more than it is a city of Rhinelander issue. Just a reminder, we can discuss it and talk about it at length, but it's still a county issue. So, and it'll come to the county board eventually.
It's my belief that they are asking for the local towns and townships to just pass a resolution saying they support it. So when it does go to Oneida County, they see that the cities within the county are supportive of this measure. Yeah. Huh.
Anybody else? I do have one thing too. I want on our radar the future long-term planning for the area of Shepherd Street, just north of Lincoln Street, that that turns into Coolidge, that roadway I know is gonna, it's been on, some people's radar as far as how to fix it. It's on a wetland. There's a lot of steps that are gonna need to be taken, discussed, and I know there's a lot of options out there. I'll just say that whether that road maybe even needs to be continuous through there. That might be a section that part of it can be blocked off for some other things, a bike path and a walking path. But I think some discussion on that, and a lot of forward thinking and what we want to do with that would be prudent to start discussing. So sometime in the next agenda or two, if we could, Zach is aware of some things some steps that need to be taken as far as the DNR and wetland stuff goes, to put that on the agenda. So anybody else? Okay, meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Next meeting is November 9th at 6 p.m.